Hey everybody, welcome to Get to Know Your Wedding Pro. My name is Reed with Best Made Videos. We are a wedding videography company based out of West Seattle, Washington. And today I think we're in for quite a treat. I know the royal wedding was a few months ago at this point, but we are joined in fact today by royalty, the king of Puyallup himself, Tony Schwartz. Why don't you introduce yourself, Tony, and tell us who you are and what you do.
Thank you very much, Reed. It's glad to be here. My name is Tony Schwartz. I am an entrepreneur in the wedding and private events industry. I DJ weddings. I run a photo booth rental company, and I also run an AV rental company. More importantly, though, I am known as #Puyallup's most eligible bachelor. I am a Red Sox fan, a Seahawks fan. I love sports. Amateur chef. If you've probably seen a few of my food gram photos I throw out there too. Just all around awesome dude.
And Tony is this is an after hours podcast right now. I've been rude and had to reschedule with Tony a couple of times, and so he was fortunate enough to come to the house after hours. I said, I'll have a beer for you. What do you want? He said, Blue Moon with a slice of orange. And so I think we're going to try to do a pop there.
Yeah, let's pop it.
There we go.
That's what, number 6, right?
Yeah, 16.
My mom's not listening. Don't worry about it.
So we got Dorothy working downstairs, and we're upstairs, and this should be good. When Tony filled out his questionnaire, I said, what is the name of your business? And you said, well, which one are we going to talk about? Because Tony is quite the, you've got quite the reach here, right?
Yeah, I've always had the entrepreneur mindset and just found myself in the private events field.
So how did that come about? You said 10 years plus in the wedding industry?
Yeah, so let's start. If we go all the way back to college, which is when I kind of got the start into DJing, I was always fascinated by, the DJ culture. I listened to DJ Scene on Cube 93 way back when I was in high school. I really got turned on when I heard him play in the next episode a cappella over AC/DC's Back in Black. And I was like, I have to learn how to do this because that is awesome. Come to find out years later, it was actually a pre-made mashup that he didn't even do. But that's part of the secret of DJing. A lot of it's pre-produced stuff. So fast forward to college, we go we're doing radio down with University of Puget Sound. They had 90.1 The Sounds, KUPS, remember they call Signals well. And I did a show on Friday and Saturday nights from 12 o'clock until 2 a.m. We called it the Pass Out Hour. And they were basically, at that time, you were playing hip hop. And so I played old school 90s hip hop, and we had just a ball down the studio. They played across the hallway was the pizza cellar where everybody would come out. They grab their pizza before they go back to their dorms and pass out. And we were playing nothing but hip hop. And we opened up the doors to the studio. We had people coming in, having their own dance party. The only rule was just don't hotbox it, which I don't smoke or anything like that. But we may or may not have had alcohol in there. FCC violation, possibly. 10-watt station. On a clear night, the Port of Tacoma would hear us, and they would be having a ball too. The overnight shift up in the cranes, everything. Listen to our show. They'd be like, "What a bunch of idiot college students." So we did that, and one night I started. After probably a couple drinks, we had some turntables down there and a mixer, and I was like, "Well, I'm just gonna throw on some records." I'm saying this on the radio, and we're playing in the cellar, the pizza cellar, and I just started throwing some records. And somebody came in, and he goes, "Do you want to learn how to do that for real?" And I said, yeah, I definitely do. So he said, all right, call me in and I'll teach you what to do. And then pretty much the rest is history at that point.
Who was that?
His name was Billy, and he was a DJ. He was also on our baseball team, and he goes, he had 2 turntables, and he had a buddy named Alika, who was also a DJ in the area, and they showed me the ropes. He gave me my first 2 vinyl records that I had to learn how to beat match, which is 50 Cent in the Club, which isn't the easiest song to beat match because they have a little bass kick before the actual what's called the 1 in a song, because a typical song structure is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's an extra little bit drum kick in there before that 1, so it took me a while to figure that out and then learn how to drop the other song on the 1. You match up 2 records, they're the same record, and then eventually you graduate to a different record and you start learning how to beat mix those 2 in together, so you can do it all by ear. This was pre MacBook Pros and Serato and all those. We had to actually do it on vinyl records and learn how to do it the hard way.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, to this day, and I've filmed a lot of DJs, and the same spinning circle on the screen. My assistant Jeff has filmed it. Our interns, we all filmed that screen, and I've stared at it for 5 years, and I couldn't tell you what it means or what it.
It's hypnotizing, is what it is. It's just, it's just a virtual waveform, but it's not always as accurate as your ear. And that's what I like, is being able to use my ear as much as possible. So you also don't have Serato face, where this won't apply to a podcast because it's a visual, but you're just staring at a computer screen the entire time.
So what did you go to school for down in Tacoma?
So I went as my major was math finance, which was absolutely perfect timing for 2008. And then the minors were in business and economics.
So what year did you graduate?
2008.
Oh, so we're the exact same age.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know. You just seem a lot more knowledgeable than I do. So that
I look older. It's the extra weight. It adds a couple of years.
Oh, no, Dorothy was asking me. I said, well, I think he's got all these companies. He's got to be old, so that's good.
No, I literally, when you graduate in 2008 with a finance degree, there's no jobs. Pretty much everywhere I called, they're like, we're still firing people, which isn't great. I did get one temp to hire job in Seattle, down in Queen Anne, for a guardianship firm. My position was called assistant to the financial manager. You might as well just call it write letters and transcribe voicemails from angry clients to have special needs or something like that. So, it's a good job that they need it because they're people that can't manage their own finances. They can't even do simple things as balance a checkbook. So someone's got to do it, but there's no path to the corner office. Your pay raise would be $4,000 more per year than what you were going to make. And for someone that it was definitely not going to be like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And so the day that they said, hey, we can't afford to bring you on because of the economy and whatnot turned out to be the happiest day of my life in retrospect, despite the fact that at the same time I was trying to buy my first house, and told that you don't have a job anymore was not good for getting that finance secured. So through another little wrinkle plan, I think you'll find that my story, timing is not my forte in life.
Well, no, that's fascinating because I graduated at the same time, and I went into TV news, and it was the same thing. Like, I got hired and they laid off like half the newsroom, but it is really interesting to think of how much that shapes kind of your life, when you enter the job market, like versus people now or whatever. So were you still DJing and stuff on the side while you were doing that, or was that kind of on the back burner?
So I was DJing the entire time when I was in college. At one point it was Tuesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, which was awesome because I was making money and I was able to apply towards student loans, to where when I graduated, I didn't really have much left in student loans that I needed to knock out. But you make the sacrifice, so you don't really see, the friends and whatnot too. But when we were doing around campus, we were doing frat parties. Which was great because then I got to be cool, socially cool. I think a lot of DJs do it because they want to be cool and acceptable at something, because a lot of them were kind of socially awkward, or we're just we stick to ourselves. We listen to our music. We have headphones on all the time. So yeah, I was doing that. And then during the summer, it was doing a wedding. I got into weddings real quick. I think my sophomore year, I did my first one for a friend back in 2005, and then was booking them out the following year to where when I got out of school senior year, I had a full summer of weddings to look forward to. And I was making more doing weddings than I was at the temp to hire job. So I was like, well, when I got let go, I was basically like, let's just see what we can do with this and see where we can grow. And if it doesn't work out, maybe the economy comes back, and by then we can find something else in the finance sector. And I've never had a real job since. I have a blank resume.
Do you enjoy that? I know that the guy that does drone piloting for me as well, like he holds that very proud that he's never had like a real paycheck, right? That he's kind of done it on his own. Do you enjoy that?
There's pros and cons to it. I like the risk. I like the fact that I'm my own boss. I get to do, I'm in control. If I don't want to work in the morning, I don't have to work in the morning. Is that the same for you?
Yeah, I mean, but I'm a workaholic. So
Right.
that's all
You
I
work
do.
all too, and I am too. I get like my zones where I just want to work all day, I want to work all night, and then go to bed, and then do it all over again the next day. And it becomes obsessive. But I think as I've gotten out of my 20s and now into my younger 30s, I don't want to do that as much. So trying to find ways I can more leverage my time and really focus. You get into that equation of, is this worth my time, or is this something I can delegate out? That's what I've kind of been learning more in my 30s is what can I delegate to someone else? What is my skills? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses that I can give to, let someone else take care of my weaknesses. Graphic design, terrible at it. Not gonna lie, it's just not in my forte. But I will be more than happy to look for somebody, and I'm looking for somebody to do an EPK. So if you're listening and you want to put together an EPK, hit me up, send me a DM. Or I have a couple different EPKs I want to do. One for weddings, one for private performances. But to answer the question, yeah, I mean, I don't. My dad asked me this the other day on Father's Day. He goes, "If you had to go do a corporate job, would you would you enjoy it?" And I go, "No." He goes, "I don't think you would either. I think you'd literally want to jump out the window and kill yourself." And I'd be like, "Well, that's drastic, but I just I don't want to put on a suit and tie." And I think it's because I had that little taste when I was, going from Puyallup, you get to the Sounder. And I mean, I was doing this when I was still DJing too. I do a Thursday night at BB McGraw's. We DJ until 2 a.m. You get home about 2:30 in the morning. And then I'd wake up 3 hours later, throw on a suit and tie, get on the train. I fell asleep somewhere on the train between Auburn and Seattle. Didn't matter where. Would be woken up by the conductor. "Hey, you got to get off the train. You're the last one on." Do that walk of shame, and then try to catch the bus to Queen Anne. Usually miss the first one, which means no coffee at Starbucks on the corner. The second one puts you there 3 minutes before. Run up the stairs, get in the elevator, and try to sneak into the office. Typically 2 minutes late, and I hate being late to anything because I think it's disrespectful.
He was on about 10 minutes early today.
Exactly. That's part of that sports background. When you're growing up, you learn that if you're not 10 minutes early, you're late. So I hated doing that, and then trying to sneak in and say, "No, I was on time," and I can show up when I need to show up. But when I show up, I can get it. I get to start working and get to going on what I need to do.
Yeah, it's. I don't think I could either. I actually today on Facebook it reminded me that 7 years ago today was my first day at Q13, which was the last job I had before this, and it's like seems like a really long time ago. And like I don't know if I could go back. I mean, I just feel like once you're kind of out in the wild, it's like trying to get a gorilla back in the cage or something. It's just
we're untamed. I don't know how you could tell me to actually follow all these rules or handbooks. I would look at half the handbook and go, "I can't do this."
Yeah, we had one of the podcasts last week came over, and I had done corporate stuff all week, which it's not, usually like all day, every day for the week. And I had like my John Cena jersey on and like a pair of basketball shorts. And I said, "This is what we got today," because I've been too dressed up all week.
Which era of John Cena is this?
This was the old school, back when it was just his high school football number.
Okay.
With the 54 on the back.
Was this when he was the rapping John Cena?
Yeah, it was like Word Life and all that.
Thug Life. Yeah. That's
was good. It was, and then we turned on him for about 10 years. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun back in the
Doctor of Thugonomics and everything too. He would drop the awesome lines. He had the battle with the Rock or whatever.
If you're nice, I will show you my spinner belt later on that I have in my office.
Do you still watch the WWE?
Yeah. We just went to WrestleMania in New Orleans back in April. So.
Oh, awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fun.
Were you close or were you distant for...
We had the best seats that we've ever had there. We were the second row off the floor on the riser. So it was good. It was a lot, but it was fun.
Awesome, yeah. I've never gone to WrestleMania. We go when it comes to Key Arena.
Yeah.
I was there for Daniel Bryan's retirement
I was
speech.
as well, yeah.
If you can actually see me on the TV, because I always somehow I get lucky and I get the hard cam tickets. And I think it's just, you just pop, because they just send you an email. Like literally 5 minutes before they go on sale. "Hey, WWE tickets are on sale at 10." And you're like, it's 9:56.
Yeah.
So you hop on there, and I was buy 4, despite only go 2. So I will sell the other 2. And when the last time I went, I sold the two that were on the aisle that the Shield girls walked down, but Roman Reigns would come down. Someone bought him. Yeah, they wanted to buy him just so they could give Roman a fist bump or whatever.
I hate that person.
Yeah. What about back in the Monday Night Wars? Were you a WCW or WWF guy?
Oh, I was WWF all the way. So, yeah, I never watched. I was always Stone Cold. Stone Cold.
We were WCW only because my mom was like, don't turn that wrestling stuff on. We'd watch it anyways or whatever. Every Monday night. And we were big into Goldberg, and I was big into NWO. I always loved the heel, the bad guy.
Well, yeah, you have to do that. You strike me as a likable heel, as somebody that people applaud out of respect, but still boo when they're supposed to.
Yeah, I think it's a character, it's a performance, and I think it's a lot harder to be a really good bad guy than it is to be a really good guy.
Do you find a lot of your personality makes its way into how the way you interact during events and things like that? Do you enjoy that?
Somewhat of my personality, because I think it's a switch that gets kind of turned on. Because if I go to an event just as a guest, like I just want to chill and have a good time and relax, and I'm not working. I don't care if there's a DJ and what he's doing. I don't really want to critique. I don't like when people come up to me and go, "What do you think is DJ?" I'm like, please don't get me into that mode, because. It's also it's not fair because that DJ does what they do, and that's fine. Everyone has different style. So when I perform, there's this light switch that goes on, because as we just did that wedding a couple weeks ago, you have to step out in the middle of the dance floor and you have to command a room of 200 people, or you have to have the confidence to stand in front of a bunch of people and play the music that's going to get to them to dance, or be able to interact or get to a desired atmosphere, or whatever that goal, that particular event, that particular client has. You have to figure out at the end. I will start from the end. What's our end goal? And then everything I'm doing leading up to that, even hours before it comes to that conclusion where that client wants to be. How am I going to get there? Get one step closer. And then you have to be outgoing and charismatic. No one wants to hear a boring DJ. And there's a fine line between when you cross over and you become ringmaster of a circus and you become that cheeseball DJ that everyone what I found is just be authentic and be who you are, but turn it up to 11.
Yeah, it is a fine line. And there was a DJ I worked with a couple of times last year, and I can't remember his name, but yeah, he was like the shushing the people kind of DJ. And that, to me, like, steps over that line, if you're trying to, like, get people's attention for his speech or whatever. But then, there are kind of those wallflower ones, too, that just stay and, you don't even know. Like, I usually try to talk to the DJ, because most of the time I'm using part of your equipment or, we're putting stuff together or whatever.
Right.
So, like, yeah, I think you need to be, like you said, at least somewhat outgoing, if not at them 11.
Well, I think there's, I don't want to shush anybody or go, I'll wait till I have your attention. Like, who the hell are you to say something like that? I think the thing is just, if you structure what you're going to say and you put it on the back half of what you're about to say, that first half is pretty much meaningless fill to get everybody to basically, bluntly, shut up. This is a real podcast. We talk authentically here. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I don't sugarcoat it for my clients. I told you I was bringing you personality, authenticity.
He said, briefly describe why you are interested in being a guest on the podcast. On the questionnaire, he said, I bring personality and listens.
Oh, yeah, you'll get some listens. Don't worry about that. I want to promote you and help you out because I think you're doing a good job, and that's going to get you more exposure, and you deserve it. If you're going to work hard, you should get what you reap. But yeah, just don't go out there and you can't say your announcement when nobody's listening, because then all it does is create more confusion. But you have to get their attention. And there's some people that are going in the back so that they don't care what you have to say at all. And you don't want to engage with them. You just ignore them. You let them be who they are. And then you just get out what you need to say and turn your speakers up more if you need to.
Have you found, I'll answer my own question first, but that it seems like more and more people kind of are in their own world, kind of on their own phones or in their own conversations, like during speeches and stuff like that. Have you noticed that lately?
I have. And basically, it's like everybody is on their own agenda.
Yeah.
No matter what the event is. I do, weddings a lot, but even at private events, everyone has their own agenda and they want to do it. They're ready when they're ready. And there's not this and I think it's reflective of our society, is we're not coming, everything's coming together as a collective group where everything's about just, we're the experience and everyone coming together. It's everyone wants to kind of do what they want to do. It's like if I'm trying to clear out a lobby and get everybody into a room so I can bring a wedding party up to do a grand entrance, and people are still getting their beer and they're not, I'm like, guys, literally just give me 5 minutes. And because where you're probably sitting in the room, you're probably going to be late to, you're a good 20 minutes before I even send you to dinner. You can sneak out, grab a beer, come back, probably grab 2 at the rate this is going. I just need to get this up because there's a lot of things I'm doing behind the scenes that they don't realize. And, ignorance, it's out there. They don't know what's going on. But just help me out so I can get this done and then we can move forth. Because if you don't, it just delays everything back. It's the same thing. I think, there's always that technology is that gift and that curse. And there's always that old photographer argument about should my wedding be unplugged or not? And I can see both ways. What do you feel about that? Because as a videographer, do you care if people have their iPads out as you're trying to film or?
Not if it's not in my way. We had one the day before. It was the Saturday of Memorial Day, and it was a Chinese wedding. And so, just culturally, there's a lot more photo taking and cell phones and iPads and stuff. And I do think it is kind of a cool shot when the bride's coming down the aisle and everybody has their phones out, as long as you can still see down. Right. There was the lady in the front row, because I'm shooting coming down the aisle, she was in the middle of the aisle shooting, and I had to tell her, ma'am, but just because I got to do my job. That doesn't bother me. I know it really does bother some people. I think you want people to be present, and I think a lot of couples have really made that clear lately that they want their guests and stuff to be present because they want people to pay attention to them and not
right.
Their cell phones. But
right, I think there's this this double-sided thing. One, you go to concerts, everyone's got their phones out. I literally hate my phone out at a concert. I want to be in that moment, especially when you're paying as much money as you are for good seats. You want to be there. Yeah, grab your one photo and then put the photo.
Yep, that's what I do.
But that's my personal preference. I can understand why some people want to film it and they want their YouTube clips and they want to document that they were there, and that's fine. But I never hear concert photographers complain about people got their cell phones up in their shots because they get their access to where they need to be, and they get that. Yeah. In a wedding, it's a little bit tighter, but I think that grandma and mom and aunt, they want that shot for a reason.
Yep.
And that photo is important to them, even though it's probably just a cell phone photo. It's probably not that great to begin with, unless their phone's been updated in the last 10 years, which it's not. But it's important to them. It's the same thing why that selfie is important when I'm trying to move somebody from the cake to the dance floor, cake back to their sweetheart table for the toast. It's an important photo for them. So I think, you have to find that balance between, is it in the way and obstructive, or is it just something that, let them have it, and that's the moment it is. It's a moment in time and when people look back at those photos, they go, back in 2018, they looked at ceremonies through their iPhone and watched it as they filmed it.
It is funny though, because I had a corporate event today and it was a luncheon, and one of the key points was, they wanted to, besides everything, they wanted to make sure you got the CEO was going to do a keynote, a bunch of other stuff. And so, I got 2 cameras plugged into their board, have a professional audio going on the Tascam, and then I have, my 2 cameras, and one of the people working, was standing next to me, and we're far back because I'm shooting, over the people, and she's got her phone going the whole time he's doing his speech. And I'm like, you guys are getting all this from me. I got about 10 grand pointed at this guy right now. We got it covered. But people want to know that they got it. They want to know that they have it.
Maybe they just don't care. What if they never see the video?
Yeah.
Or what if they don't ever look at the photos? They look at them once. If you think about it, so for my brother, when he got married last year, I've never seen their full photo gallery or their video. I know that there's a photographer there. There was a videographer there. I've never seen it.
Well, why not?
I don't know. Maybe they just don't like me or they don't want me to see it.
Oh, they haven't sent it?
No, they have it.
But they haven't posted it?
And they couldn't, they even made it to where, because my mom got in trouble for posting some of her favorite photos.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, we just want to keep the ones that they want to post it publicly, which is fine. That's their right.
Yeah.
But it's I didn't get to see a lot of the photos other than the ones I got tagged in. which is me. And I'm like, cool, I'll make that my profile photo because I look damn good in that tuxedo that day. But yeah, I mean, I haven't seen the video. But what I have seen in the video is something that either I captured real quick or a friend captured. So I think that may be the case too. Some people go, well, I may never see the video, so I want to get what I want to have captured. I mean, that could be a perspective as well too.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I agree with that. They want to know that they have it, but I mean, and also like I think with photographers, like traditionally, like you'd have to buy your photos afterward. Like a lot of people now, like if you pay your $3,000 or $5,000, like
games change now.
You just get all the photos where they used to not be. I think where people like my neighbor always talks about how like they had to like get their stuff developed and read. He's old, but we just like our wedding, we just got everything sent on a USB. But so you're doing the DJ thing. I'm trying to figure out where this event rentals, and now we're doing the photo booth, and like you said, it's that like serial entrepreneurial ship. I can never say that word.
I can't spell it.
No, I definitely can't. So how long had you been doing the DJ thing before kind of these other ideas came out?
So the DJ thing was the first thing. And then the AV rentals was the second thing that was born. And that came because one of my clients, Josh and Katrina, who both worked for me, the photo booth company, I think Katrina's mom, I could be wrong on that, and I apologize if she hears this and I got it wrong. She asked me about doing a sound system for an event that she was hosting. She just wanted to play an iPod. She didn't need a DJ. She was like, can I rent your speakers? And that became an instant moment to me of, there might be other people that have iPods and don't need a DJ. They just want a sound system. And I created a company called iDJ Rental Systems. I was terrified the entire time of getting sued by Apple, just because I was young and I used the iDJ I don't know, maybe it's bad, probably isn't. I see all kinds of different brands out there, so I think I was okay. And at one point I had like 10 of those systems. And mind you, I don't have an office at this point. I'm running an AV rental company. You can't run it out of your house.
Yeah, so what were you doing?
I would go... Okay, so have you ever seen Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
Saul Goodman, right? Yeah. And then did you ever watch a spinoff called Better Call Saul?
I'm behind.
I only watched the first season, and I get busy. I don't watch TV. I'm a binge watcher in the winter, and then during the summer and spring, I don't even watch unless it's sports. So
tonight, while I ate dinner before you came, I was watching Westworld on my laptop, and Dorothy's like, "Oh, you're watching Westworld?" So I said, "Yeah." I said, "It's Wednesday. I've got 28 minutes into the show this week." Because it's like, 5 minutes here and 5 minutes. That's right. My TV watching is very
I have to do it in the winter. I have to binge watch it, and I will watch a season a day. Yeah. At one point, it was Lost, and I caught all the way up, and I was so glad that I didn't have to sit through 7 years of waiting for that payoff.
That's so bad.
At the end. Friday Night Lights was another one I watched. Binge watched every season. I watched a season a day and got completely. And I was so sad for that one to end because that was great. Way better than the movie. Anyway, back to your question. So what I did is, and this is why I asked if you knew Saul Goodman, because it plays in there nicely, is I would go to my local Fred Meyer and I'd sit in the back of my SUV with a newspaper, and I was renting systems out of the back of my SUV at the time, and people would be like, how come you have to meet us at Fred Meyer? I go, and it was an excuse each week, like, oh, we're painting the walls at the office. He did it in like his assistant's voice. He was trying to fake an assistant why he wasn't even at there. And so I would come up with all these different excuses why I couldn't bring people to the office to either collect or return the rentals. It was probably the most like ghetto thing I've ever done in my life. Eventually then I got an office. The AV rental company, the problem that we ran into was we had these little docking systems with a mixer, and they were tied into that old school lightning, the lightning
the
connector. Old, eventually they started changing the docks, and it was like, this is not good. Because then you couldn't keep up with everything. So we eventually switched over to we just plug into your headphone jack.
Okay.
So then we could stay more.
But now you don't even have that anymore.
No, those we still. Yeah, now we're having that issue. Now people call and they're like, "What do we do?" I'm like, "Here's a lightning to
the
3.5 millimeter dongle. It's going to cost you $3 to rent. You can go buy it for $9 or rent it from us for $3 and save yourself the gas and trip of going through Target to get it." So it's a nice little money maker there. Small things that add up. It's lunch money. Come on, let's be real. It's not as bad as what you would go if you went to a hotel and they're like, hey, we need a 25-foot extension cable and a surge protector, and it costs them $95. That literally just happened at this AV rental I just did, because they canceled us and they just wanted our screen, and they had to use another AV company. I'm not gonna name drop. I don't want to name drop.
No.
If you're in the industry, you know who they are. $95 for a 25-foot extension cable.
Well, that was like, we're always at the wedding show, and they always say like you get, I don't know, 51 amps or watts or I don't know, power, but
you don't get much power. Yeah,
you get whatever, and then you have to pay if you want extra. And so like we always run the TV and stuff, and so it ends up being like $350. And like this year I emailed the woman and I'm like, there's no possible way there's like 500 booths that you could possibly monitor what each booth is pulling from. Just we walk, like we know.
You'd be surprised how they probably can.
Really?
And you know what's cool though is that Howard's cool enough to make sure that that's supplied at your booth, because I've done other wedding shows.
Oh yeah,
you have to order it in.
Yeah,
and it's expensive.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, that booth that you thought you were getting a great bargain for isn't really a bargain at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And you show up and it's like, here's your space. It's taped with concrete, and it's like, there's no carpet. It's like Howard shows. I mean, he runs it really well, and he takes care of. You still have to bring in carpet or something for your booth, but I mean, you're taking care of to where you don't have to worry about something as silly as power.
Yeah.
For most vendors, do they even need that much power? I mean,
well, that's why I just couldn't figure. I mean, and it's fine, but I just the fact that like they could monitor that. She's like, well, if you're using between 100 and 100, like it was very specific, like rankings. And I'm like, there's no way you know exactly how much power I'm pulling at this booth.
They may not. Who knows? Call their bluff. See what happens.
Right.
Just take in there and take a bunch of like really high end stuff. Bring like a toaster, some microwave. What else you got in here? You could bring over. You got a blender.
Yeah, we got a blend tech.
You don't cook much here. What do you eat? You guys eat out and?
Yeah, we eat a lot of smoothies. A lot of protein bars.
You ever done the juice diet or anything like that? Or? No. What do you? So do you? You're in here in West Seattle. I'm not going to name your street or anything.
Yeah.
People come stalk
We're
you.
in Arbor Heights.
Here, let me give it. It starts with a 3. So you guys eat out a lot here, or?
I eat the same turkey sandwich every day. I'm a simple man.
Yeah, that's probably why you're thin and I'm fat.
So you're doing the DJ rental out of the SUV.
Yep. So I'm doing that, and then that eventually grows into.
I think we're about 6 months into your career right now. If I'm, 32 minutes, and we've.
I just don't want to talk about it so much. So I did that. That evolves into what became Puget Sound Pro Audio Rental. That's a mouthful, too many words. It was great for SEO. Terrible for branding and everything else. Eventually evolved into Play Event Rentals as I moved from the office that was just a little cracker box office that had a slanted wall, and any of my guests that have ever been there before, and my past clients that were going to a meeting, they know exactly what that office looked like. I think it was 92 square feet. Still would rent stuff out of the back of my van. We just went down to the parking lot to get it. The hard part was if I had to do add-ons, which is a great way to make additional money, especially at the point of purchase. Hey, I know you got these speakers and you're going to, do you want to get some lights? It's only $50 out on a lighting package, which is what any entrepreneur would do. You want to do an add-on. The problem becomes if 2 people bought that add-on and someone else wanted the third one, you had to go back to your house and get everything. And be like, hold on one second, I got to go back to my warehouse.
Yeah, the warehouse.
Which doesn't exist. It's just my garage, which was then my parents' garage. Which was filling up with more and more gear as I was building this brand. So eventually we switched it to, I found my mom works for Corm Ford in Puyallup, Corm Corners.
I don't know.
So Puyallup, we do pretty much 2 things. We have a fair, which isn't even ours anymore. Now it's the Washington State Fair.
Yeah.
Bull crap. And then the other part is we sell a lot of cars and trucks. If you ever see the Jay Buhner pitching for Northwest Motorsports, trucks, and more trucks. Okay. They're down there in Puyallup, and so is Corm. I mean, those are the big 2 players. And, we have a couple other dealerships. Kia, I have to make sure I shout out Kia. They run a photo booth from us every year for the holiday party. Ryan is awesome. So, Ryan, if you're listening, don't forget you're booked for this next upcoming holiday party. She's there, and they own a building called the 1416 East Main Attractions. and which is where my office currently is. And it was like the perfect space because there was a garage door out front next to the office door. So I have a bunch, all my stuff is there. In that garage shop, and I have, of course, my office in the very back. It's called the dungeon because there's no windows. And then we have our recording studio, which we do podcast studio rentals out of. I also do do some other recording voiceover projects for clients that come in that want to do different things for their weddings or different special events. They want to record a special message over the first dance, which not a lot of them do, and I wish more of them would, because it's such a cool emotional moment that really gets a tearjerker in the room. Even caterers, I've seen caterers cry over some of these before. And then I have which right now is our photo booth junk room, which is just stuff with photo booths, and it's usually a mess when you walk in there. Right now the Love Seat is hosting the easy chair, because I'm trying to sell that. So if you're looking for a nice leather chair and love seats, please send me a DM. I'd be more than happy to sell that to you. It's from the old cannery that's down in Sumner. It's great furniture if you're into the furniture game. So please buy that from me. Can I hawk my products on this?
Yes, please do.
Anything else? I got a lot of stuff I could sell. Facebook Marketplace is just like, oh, is this available? Yeah, it is. Well, otherwise, why would I list it?
Yeah.
Let's see, what else can I sell? I got some old photo booths for sale if anybody's looking for those. Can you see the entrepreneur spirit coming out here, Reed?
I always wonder when people, DJs with a lot of equipment and stuff, like, how do you handle like liability with that besides just having like a lot of insurance?
Insurance, I've learned, I mean, everything's a learning process in this. Do your due diligence when someone comes to rent something out. Make sure you get their ID. That's a big one. If they don't have their ID, that's probably a first step. If they say they're coming on someone's behalf, that's probably also something to be a little bit wary about. Because, we've gotten hit with fraud before, and we found out the hard way. Insurance doesn't cover a fraudulent theft at all. That sucks. So you kind of learn that. So some of it you learn the hard way, because they're always trying to be smarter than you, and they're always trying to outsmart you. And now we have a pretty good system in place where everybody can make their online orders on playeventrentals.com, and they have to at least pay a 25% deposit through their card. And Stripe is cool enough that they tell you on the back end, yeah, this is no risk, or this might be a risk, or even if they're renting, 3 days later, it's probably going to come up on the stolen cards statement online, and people are going to go, that's not it's not my order. It's fraudulent. That's going to give you a warning sign. This is possibly a fraudulent order. You also, you get their ID. They can submit that online. You have a credit card authorization form. So if they don't complete that before they pick it up, we cancel the order. Because if you can't submit it, we're not going to take it at the pickup. So you're trying to get everything in advance, and then you're making sure that everything's consistent and it all looks the same. Also, probably isn't a good idea to fall for something like @rocketmail.com. If it's not Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail, Comcast.net, or their own company website, or a .com that you can visit and look at, you might be a little suspicious of that. But the key is, and I think comes down to, as I started watching, you ever gone down the YouTube rabbit hole?
Yes.
Yeah, every entrepreneur does. It's a great little way to get a break, right? I went down, there's a show on there called The Real Hustle on YouTube. And you go down, and there's like 11 seasons of it, and I went down that rabbit hole, and I learned everything about what a good scam artist does. Not that I want to pull scams on anybody. That's not.
But to look out.
You start to learn that they act on time and emotion. And everything's got to be quick in a hurry, and they want the emotion to be in there so that you overlook the logical steps. And once I learned that, I learned everything we did wrong, and the ones that, when we did get a fraudulent theft. You look back and go, yeah, that's exactly what I fell for. And then you get smart. So you have to kind of educate yourself to what, for a rental company, is what they would do. Now, some people just don't rent to end users, like just any Joe Smo off the block. We do. Some people will only rent to companies, or there'll be production where they'll bring everything and it's in a legit festival or something like that. That's not what our model is. Our model is, a lot of people are doing it for weddings, DIY weddings, memorials. We get those. What else? We have outdoor movie nights, people take into their backyard. So just random people that are looking to rent.
I'm going to take this opportunity to ask you. I'm going to tell you a story here. I want to hear what your scam what your scam radar would say.
Okay.
Okay, because
See if I'm good.
well, no, I'm genuinely curious about what you would do here. So early on in my career, I got hired to do a video Shark Tank audition video for a car dealership down in University Place. And so I went down and filmed it, and the guy's pretty eccentric and, kind of crazy, and it's great. Like, it's just this really funny video, and like send it to him, and so he disappears. And so then like 9 months later, he calls me up and he's like, "Hey man, so like I went down and like I got on the show and like I was there, and I was going to sell the Sharks a car because he's a car salesman. And so he said, they needed to like bring in the car, and like the production didn't work. So like they needed to do it the next day, and then stuff. And then he got bumped.
Right.
So I said, man, that really sucked. He goes, yeah, he was like in depression about it, whatever. And I said, well, that stinks. He goes, I want to hire you again because I want to do, like a on the road kind of like car buying and selling, kind of like American Pickers, but like cars, right?
Right.
So he goes, I want you to come down to my shop, and then he goes, eventually I'm going to sell this car. I got these European car buyers, and I'm going to sell this car to a guy in Dubai. So eventually we're going to fly to Dubai, and I'm going to ship this car on this container to this guy. So I go down like every other Friday for like months, and we're filming the stuff, and he's paying me cash, and it's, it's great because it's my day off, and I'm trying to build this company, and I'm like, maybe I'll be a reality, whatever. And like we buy a bunch of equipment and GoPros, and like we film just like hours and hours and hours, and like he's just crazy. So it's getting ready to go, and I'm still working at Q13, and I know that we're going to be gone for like 3 weeks or something. Like it's going to be too much. And so he's bought the plane ticket, and I see the like, the itinerary. He sends me, it's like $1,800 or whatever to fly to Dubai, to fly all of us. Cause it was like me and him and his assistant were all going to go. And they were always kind of like not, they would butt heads and stuff. It was kind of funny. So I literally go into Q13 and I tell him like, hey, I'm going to have to take like a month off, and you don't get that kind of time in news. And so I kind of decided like, well, and I ended up quitting right afterward anyway, because they kind of knew, and it was just kind of time to be done. So I literally was like, Thursday, Friday, like I give them whatever to take my leave. And then like that next Monday, Sean's assistant calls me, and he's like, hey man, like what, how are you doing? I go, yeah, I'm good. Like just getting ready. He goes, so Sean's in rehab. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, dude, he's been on cocaine like for 2 years.
So like drug.
Not seeing his family, like not leaving the house, like not, and like I don't know him because I only know I only know him as I know him. I don't know him as any other thing.
He's a business acquaintance, essentially.
Yeah, but I mean, like I don't know what he's like.
Right.
That's just how I know him. And so he says, well, he's in rehab. Like I have the plane tickets. Like we're still going to go because I gotta sell this car. Like, are you going to go? And I said, I don't really know, And so like 2 days later, Sean gets out of rehab or whatever, and way too quick to like that would happen. And he goes, yeah, man, like I fired my assistant. Like I'm going to hire somebody else, and we're going to Dubai. And at that point, I was like, pulled the trigger, or, was like canceled, put the brakes on hold. And like, I called my mom, and I was like, I don't think I can go. And she's like, I don't think I didn't know what to do. So, I mean, it ended up kind of coming out like we don't even know if he was on Shark Tank. Like, we don't even know if like he was always saying like he was getting these calls about this reality TV show. Like, is that crazy? Does that...
It's like, one, I want to know what rehab he went to. It was like the Lindsay Lohan style rehab or something like that.
Like he escaped. It was like 48 hours later. Like that's not how that works. I don't
think when you go to rehab, they put you like behind a locked door and so you can't come out until you're clean sober. I think you can just leave whenever you want. But it's just it's a weird story. If he was never, see.
Because I don't even know if he was ever on the show.
Was it a used car dealership or new?
He would buy and sell. Like used cars.
So it's used.
Yeah, it was his own. Like.
So my first question then would be, why would a shark worth hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions, buy a used car when these guys are buying? They can buy whatever car they want brand new.
Well, exactly. So that's my thing. Is I think like I filmed this audition for him And I don't think he was ever called, right? Like, I think
He could have sent it in, for all you know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he sent it in. But, like, I mean, this was like a year and a half of this lie. I mean, not lie or whatever, but...
Well, I don't think he was trying to catfish you or anything.
I know, but then they ended up going to Dubai because I saw, like, apparently he went and rented a Ferrari to drive around the desert, and then, like, his car got declined because he didn't tell anybody that, you know, like, you have to call your bank and be like, hey, I'm going to go to Dubai and spend $5,000 on the Ferrari. But, like, so they went, but it was just the weirdest thing because I felt the whole time like I was being scammed, but then I was never ended up being scammed, and, like, they went to Dubai.
You just missed out on Dubai.
I did miss out on Dubai.
I don't know. There's like two things in the world you can't fix: stupid and crazy, and I wouldn't want to get involved with it.
Well, so we've had a snack break. Tony's got some pretzel chips here, and
these pretzels are making me thirsty.
What else did she?
So your wife comes up, and she's super nice and and has amazing hospitality. She gave me some salami, which is very good.
Pepperoni, turkey pepperoni.
I thought this was salami.
No,
that's why I'm an amateur chef and not a real chef. And then these pretzel chips, which are great. I'm making a lot of noise on your podcast. Sorry. She, of course, brought me another beer, and I couldn't tell her no. So we might have to crash on the couch. I'm kidding. I'm not saying.
You said you're going to Boston tomorrow.
Yeah, but going to Boston.
Don't date this too much.
Let's see. So 5 weeks ago, I went to Boston when this airs.
How was it?
I don't know. Let's pretend I win. I'm going to tell you how it was before I go.
Did the Sox win?
We'll compare. Well, they're playing the Mariners, which they just played. 6 weeks ago, according to this recording. Now let's bring this up to date real quick. So as of the recording date of this podcast, I'm going to Boston tomorrow. I'm taking my mom. It's her Mother's Day gift. She's never been. My dad and I have been for a good solid, we've been 3 times before, maybe 4, I can't remember. So we're going to go, we got 3 games at Fenway Park against the Mariners, who we just played last weekend and did a split. So it's a mini 7-game series over 2 weeks, and it's tied at 2-2 right now. My brother's a big Mariners fan. I'm the Red Sox fan in the family. So, no, I'm looking forward to that. My mom sent me an itinerary of 8 things that she wants to do. And she goes, oh, I forgot we have to do lobster. This is number 9. So I had to put this all together, and I'm going to finalize on the plane because it's 6 hours in the middle seat because I'm a nice boy and she's going to get the window seat.
Oh, yeah. I get what you're saying.
I couldn't afford first class. It was like $1,000 a piece.
But are you close to their mom?
Yeah, we're pretty close. My dad, too. So
okay.
We have a real close relationship with my parents, which is cool. So, and I live 5 minutes across town. So I get to go there a lot to the house. I was there for Father's Day. We cooked them some big old steaks. Did you see that photo on Facebook?
No.
You liked it, I think.
I like everything that doesn't make
sense. Yeah, I noticed that. I just was sending you invites earlier to this random companies. They are like this.
No, it was the Play Event Rentals.
Yeah, no, I know. I saw it.
I was like,
I'm giving you a hard time.
I looked at Tony's questionnaire. I'm like, I think that's one of his companies.
Yeah, so we grilled some cowboy steaks and for my dad, and we watched the Red Sox Mariners game at home because I really didn't want to go sit in a crowded stadium in the middle of the day and absolutely get sunburnt.
Yeah.
So we're going tomorrow. So she's got a bunch of things that she wants to do. She wants to eat lobster. She wants to go to the North End and get Italian food. She's not a big cannolis fan, but I think if anyone that's ever been to Mike's, they know that they make the best cannolis in the world, and that might change her mind. She's going to go to Fenway Park, and I've got really good seats for all 3 games, so she can get 3 different views. Sunday, before we go home, we're going to be in right field in the first row. So if you're watching, you may have saw me in the front row if we had a home run, preferably the Red Sox did. It's a different style of baseball, different type of town over there. So she's going to get a different feel versus going to a game at Safeco with the hometown fans, which is going to be kind of fun. So we've had some cool stories from Fenway Park.
What do you mean, just it's more rowdy?
Yeah, you got more of the Boston blue collar fan. I'll give you a quick story. I'll give 2. One, the first time me and my dad went, they were playing the Cleveland Indians. It was just a random game. And Josh Beckett got pissed off at the other team because I guess he apparently hit a batter the inning before. And so the Indians retaliated and they threw at one of the Red Sox batters. I can't remember who. This caused a baseball brawl, bench clearing. And I'm like, Dad, check out the fight. Check out the fight in the field. And he's going, what about the fight behind us? As there was a Red Sox fan and an Indian fan just going to town on each other. And we were, the next game, we were out in the right field next to the Indians bullpen where they were warming with their pitchers. And Chris Perez was warming up to go into the game, middle of 6th inning, 7th inning, somewhere in there. And there's this one Red Sox fan. He's just drunk in a wife beater. This is your typical Boston masshole. And he's out there and he's like, hey, Perez, these are major league hitters out there, Perez. And then Perez would like accidentally drop the ball when the catcher threw it back when he was warming the bullpen, and he like kicked it. And he goes, Perez, this isn't soccer. This is Major League Baseball, Perez. You better be ready. These are major league hitters. So Perez goes out, gets called in the game, goes out there, and not even 2 pitches into the game, gets taken over the monster for a home run. And this guy, as soon as it all like dies down and everyone's done clapping, he goes, I told you, Perez, I told you, these are major league hitters. He's got the whole Boston accent, everything. Can't pronounce their R's. Hilarious out there. And that's what all those fans out there are doing. It's just, and it's cool. Is like they know what the line is, and the ushers make sure they know the line. You can't verbally attack them, but you can have fun to an extent. We will tell you when it's too much.
Well, and that's, I'm the same way. We go to a lot of live wrestling events, and one of our friends in our friend circle is always worried that we're going to take it too far. And I've sat front row with the security guard 3 feet away from me, and like, if we were good in that situation, like, we're always good, because it is, it's fun, and it's just, making funny noises or yelling names or whatever. Probably yelling more than that, but you know what I mean. It's it's fun when you know kind of what the limit is. So
weird line is, I think the performers or the athletes, whichever, depending on whatever you're going to, WWE, or they can hear you. They just can't acknowledge you, but they know how to secretly acknowledge you if you did something really funny or really clever. They'll let you know that they heard something they haven't heard before, and it's awesome.
We got, when we were at WrestleMania, we got more than a slight acknowledgement from a local indie talent, and that was very exciting for us to get cool. more than a slight acknowledgement. He was very unhappy with what we were saying. My friend Paul also handed the chair that he was sitting in over the security barrier, and Eddie Edwards used it in the pile of chairs that he threw Sami Callihan into, so that was also kind of fun.
What's the appeal for you for WWE and pro wrestling?
I've always watched it. It's something for us to do. I don't watch. I listen to wrestling podcasts every week. I don't really keep up with the show except through that. But
I can't keep up with it either. It's too much time.
Well, it's like 8 hours a week. It's too much. But it's something for us to go do. Like, we go to Vegas and do it, or we go. We don't. I can't travel a lot during the summer, so like WrestleMania is a really good time of year for us to travel in the spring. Dorothy was on her spring break, so she came down to New Orleans, and we had a couple things, and then we ended up staying, through the week then. So like it's good for that, but that's why we still watch it. It's just something to watch.
It's just something to watch. Yeah, it's not a real sport, which is the first thing everyone says.
But it's like Grey's Anatomy, but 52 weeks a year.
Every single week, no days off. And,
but that's the thing. It's like,
and they do their own stunts, and for me, I love the production value of it when especially when they're live, and I've watched like the entrances and how, and especially when you kind of get behind the scenes a little bit, and there's that term kayfabe, which has been completely broken, and you start to really kind of see what all goes into them doing that show that night, especially on TV day, and like. Especially for WrestleMania, you watch the behind the scenes stuff, and they're doing their entrances, and they're practicing it, and they're working with the stage crew and the lighting crew to make sure that they hit everything they need to hit, so it all comes together. And for me, being able to watch that and understand how much work and effort goes into just that entrance and that timing and that ability to use all the different magic and the lighting and everything, the sound, even like the music, which I tell all my clients, my wedding clients, when they're doing an entrance, I go, wait until this particular point in the song. Even for the ceremony processional, is you hit that first part. Like, for example, when they were skipping my God, we played a bajillion time, 1,000 years.
Yeah,
I don't know why I forgot that song, because we played it like every weekend last year. Go ahead, DJs, laugh at me. I don't care.
On a side note,
Yeah.
is it amazing to you that that song is still as popular? I mean, it's been like 10 years since that movie came out.
Twilight?
Yeah.
Never watched it.
But I mean, that it's still, I still get bright because I can use that. We can license that for a wedding video, right? Like, not all songs that people like, you know, Bruno Mars, but like Maroon 5, you know, Christina Perri, like we can, like I can pay and license that and put it in your video and
Sure.
it's totally legal, you know,
Right.
which is fine. But like, it still amazes me that, like, I had a bride last summer. I'm like, it's 2017, you know, 1,000 years.
I think it's because wedding music moves slower in terms of, you know, that next processional song. I mean, Ed Sheeran can only put one of those out every single year that can be used for a wedding. But I mean, regardless, you know, 1,000 years, it's got that soft intro. And I try to tell my brides, milk that. Don't come around the corner. Don't, you know, enter until you hear that actual verse starts. Because it looks so much better versus when you come down and you're almost down the aisle and the verse is just starting. You don't get to the hook. Use that hook to where you get to the hook, you get down the aisle, the hook finishes, and then your officiant starts and that music fades all the way down behind. That's the production of it. That's the ceremony. So when, you know, people come in, well, we need sound for the ceremony. You're also looking, I'm going to give you production value of it because I want that entrance to look cool. When you come into a room for a grand entrance, I'm working with them this is the point when you should enter into the room because I'm going to hit, you know, I'm going to loop that instrumental. Don't come in yet. I'm looping that to build the anticipation. Then as soon as I introduce you, the hook's going to hit, whether it's T.I. Bring 'Em Out or whatever song you select, we're going to sit there and listen to it. And that's, for me, the fun part about wedding DJing is sitting there with clients and going, don't look at these playlists of here's the top 50 grand entrance songs or cake cutting or first dance, or don't even look at that. Go through your iTunes, sit down together and go, what would be a cool grand entrance song for us? Because now you create something personal and unique. And then I'll sit there with you and go listen to it and go, here's how I think we could do this enter. And then I'll do the live demo for them and go, does that sound good? And they'll be like, that's better than what we have. Just coming in to the start of the song, which is even the best part. You want that hook. You want that highest energy peak point of a song. Some people do some stuff where, you know, it might be the chorus doesn't have a beat behind it. I need that part of that beat. You need that beat. You need that bass running through that system. That's all part of that entrance and that production. So using, well, a lot of stuff I learned at WWE, watching when did they enter? How are they, you know, Daniel Bryan doesn't come out the second that you hear the first part of Flight of the Valkyries. He comes out when he gets he gets that beat in, and then he's doing the yes chants all the way down the ramp. You know, that kind of thing. Stone Cold, it was like, okay, you know, what's that sound effect you hear? Then he comes, and once you hear that sound effect, you know who's coming. So Undertaker gong.
Yeah.
How slow. Imagine him coming out at like any speed other than slow as molasses.
Well, I actually was raised in the Limp Bizkit American Badass version of Undertaker, so
I'm glad he went back to the original one.
No, it is. That's a good point about the entrances and stuff because filming ceremonies and, you know, like we'll overlay stuff for like the edited versions, but you know, I'll put all that stuff in like the private, you know, they get their whole ceremony. And yeah, like you said, it is really funny that like sometimes like you don't even know like what the song is because yeah, like that slow intro will play or like the groom walks down the aisle in 6 seconds and the song's done because they didn't think like, oh, we should have 6 people walk to the song so we get to enjoy it or whatever. But you're like, oh yeah, I guess they did pick that song and it was like 12 seconds.
And to me, it's like, I always approach it, they don't know. They've never done this before.
Yeah, they don't know.
I've done this a lot. And for me, and this is why I hope other vendors can pick up as far as what a DJ can do and brings to the table, is I'm trying to, when I'm putting together a presentation of a wedding and I'm putting together an entertainment script, I'm trying to look through the photographer's camera lens. I'm trying to look through your video lens and what do I think you're going to try to want to capture and how are you going to capture it, and try to set it up with you and my photographer in a way that they're going to be able to do their best possible work. And set everything up. So letting them know, here's what I want to do. And I mean, we had that conversation back when we were doing AJ and Jessica's wedding. There's a couple things, you know, here's where I want to place this. Here's what I'm going to do lighting wise. I know I had to, you know, with our photographer, we had to talk about, you know, lighting. And, you know, she was like asking me a couple questions about that. I was like, yeah, we're going to do this. And she had to set up some lighting and I had to buy her some time. So there's all this kind of coordination behind the scenes I'm trying to do so I can look basically through your guys' lens.
Well, it is the most successful when the DJ is, you know, we're all kind of on the same page because you can do it where we're all, because we are all on the same team, right? Even if we haven't worked together before, which we had already been talking about the podcast and stuff. So like we were familiar, but it is nice when you kind of know everybody, and then, you know, you can, like you said, kind of time it all and get it all and the reaction and kind of everything together.
And then you build a sense of chemistry between vendors, and I understand how you work and how you want to work. Because that's kind of the question is, you know, what do you want to capture? How do you want to do this? Do you want to just kind of free flow it, or do you want stuff that's a little bit more set? I can set something up for you as well too. I'm a ringmaster of this whole thing, and I'm standing in front of a bunch of people with a mic, and I need to make sure I don't look like a dumbass. That's pretty much my approach to this. So I care. And that's when I try to work with wedding planners. I try to do the same thing too. Go, bring me into this conversation so I can at least say, here's what I'm trying to do. And then we'll all come to a consensus of what's best for that event.
I want to talk, I find it interesting. So weddings for you. So like, I've said probably 1,000 times on this podcast, but like, I feel like I'm a better vendor now, having been married and having gone through with those emotions. How do you feel doing weddings and things? And what is it that draws to you to that and to that world to keep doing that every week?
Do you want the 22-year-old response or the 32-year-old
Well,
response?
We can do both.
The 22-year-old response is cash money, of course. I mean, if you do a good job, and, you know, the wedding industry is, you get paid more doing a wedding than you would doing a club night. That's pretty obvious. But you have to also understand there's a lot more work that goes into behind the scenes leading up to that 5 or 6 hours. You also, you only really DJ in about 2 or 3 hours of a typical reception.
Which is amazing if you actually think about it, right? Like an actual dance floor, you know, nowadays.
The one thing I got into the most, I do the least.
Yeah, right.
Which, you know, I would rather... we come from when I started DJing, I was doing bar scenes and fraternity nights. Fraternities, we'd go as long as we possibly could until everybody just eventually passed out. Bars, you would be going from about 9 o'clock until 2, or clubs, the same thing. And you would learn how to pace a night. You know, that first hour to hour and a half to 2 hours, you're just kind of playing more chill lounge. You can play some new tracks. You try to what's called, you know, breaking records. It's a great time to play some new stuff out there. One of the most known songs ever was Katy Perry, California Girls. We got it the day it came out. We knew it was going to be a hit. It took 6 months for it was going to be a hit, but we were still playing it during that first hour and two, just to throw it out there, because, you know, you start to kind of learn how to play songs as well too, and what mixes with what. That's a great. And there's not a lot of people there. Suddenly, magically at like 11 o'clock, it's party time. And then you start to throw in a really great 2 to 2.5 hour party set where you really go to town, you play your bangers. And then that last half hour, depending on the establishment, some wanted you to go all the way till 2, just absolutely crush it. That last half hour, you could be where you just kind of go and you just start to slowly wind down the night. To where the last 15 to 10 minutes, you're just playing like really dope R&B songs that everybody can kind of grind, and you're setting the mood for something else later. Wink, wink. So, you know, that, but you only get paid so much doing clubs. Weddings, you could get paid a lot more, but you had to work a lot more. So there's that element as well too. So, you know, 22-year-old Tony that would say, yeah, cash, money, of course. He's hungry. He's just got out of college. He's got to pay a mortgage and bills and everything else. Welcome to the real world. 32-year-old, still single Tony, if you have any friends out there, ladies.
Most eligible bachelor in
PIOP's most eligible bachelor. It's a hashtag. Literally, you can look it up. It's there. I still can't spell eligible. I can't spell entrepreneur. I think once computers came out, I just gave up on spelling. It was like, what's the point? Spell check will fix everything for me. Random aside there. At this point, as I started to get better at emceeing and DJing, and learning what did I want to accomplish as a wedding DJ? What did I want my brand to be? All those business terms you throw out kind of became, you know, what's important to me. And for me, the biggest thing is that emotional connection. And yeah, I've never got married, never had to walk down the aisle, never got to experience it firsthand. But you kind of start to pick it up as you know, secondhand smoke, essentially. And you know, that emotional connection that you can make, you don't do them that much anymore, especially because officiants started doing them. But like when you did love stories, I still like to ask every single couple I meet with. I met a couple today, you know, how'd you meet? And then for me, the fun part is because they've either told the story a bunch or they haven't told it a lot and they're about to tell it a lot, is asking the questions and becoming the interviewer, essentially, your role, and finding out the details and the stuff they left out. And that's kind of important to me. It's just your dog. Don't worry about it. I'm sure Dorothy's just belly rubbing her or something like that. Those are the kind of the emotional details and finding out that. And then at the end, what I've kind of found with most of my clients is they just want to party at the end of the night. And it's not a big stuffy event. It's not something that's overly too formal. It's just a great party. And what I've found that I've tried to really market towards is I want to do mostly destinations type weddings where people are traveling in and they're getting there on Friday and they're not going home till Sunday, because they're just better events. They're better parties. There's more meaning. People are like, where this is, the climax of the weekend is this wedding reception. They don't have to worry about, going home at 10 and worrying about DUIs. They have to worry about if they walk to the right hotel room or not. And eventually that becomes an adventure for them themselves. I like those weddings a lot more because people come to celebrate versus the ones where you get 250 people, but most of the people are the parents, what I call like the showcase guests. Their parents are showcasing the wedding for their friends, and they don't have that emotional attachment. As much as you try to create that emotional attachment, you try to create that one big giant family, it's just not. Some people just aren't they're just coming to get their free meal. They're gonna say hi, they're gonna talk to the parents, and then eventually they're gonna just go, and that's fine, as long as you understand that's going to happen. But it's for those different key moments that you can kind of create that first dance, and you can make it magical, and you can set it up properly, or a father bride dance, where you can find out, why did you select this song? What's the importance of it? So I think it's becoming, a lot of it for me now is finding out the whys and asking those questions about these things and just following away. And if I can use it, great. And if I can't, I'm not gonna. It just depends on the moment.
No, I think that's a great point. The destinations versus, a lot of our weddings lately, it's like, and we usually book like a 10-hour day, some are 8, but like by the time you get ready and do the photos and get married and do cocktail hour and do the, like that, by the time you're actually like open dancing, like it might be 45 minutes. It might be an hour, right? I mean, is that frustrating that like you said, but like kind of like what you love to do now it's like, 10% of the day.
Yeah, I remember one wedding, the venue doesn't exist anymore. Eventually, you put a venue in a residential code 5 area, you're just asking for trouble with neighbors. You're going to get shut down eventually, despite the fact that they were like, you can't play above 85 decibels. I don't care what decibel reader says. I'm going to play for the crowd. I'll try to light that thing up like it's a high score on a video game. But you get there and you're like, this wedding, we only had 25 minutes of dance floor time for a predominantly group of friends of their friends. And so you just start, the fortunate part is with a background of doing clubs and bars, you just go right into that bar club mentality, quick mix everything, and you turn a 25-minute set into, what seems like it was an hour or something. You just try to make it, because you're cramming so many songs in there. It's basically verse, hook, mix, drop into another hook, drop into another hook. Top 40 song that's popular right now. Play the verse, hook, let it run, let it breathe, hook. Just start slamming hooks and intros and have fun with it. DMX party up. You don't really need to play the verse. Just play the chorus, move on. Nobody wants. Plus, it's so explicit. It's just awkward. Sometimes you sit there and you're like, did he just say what I think he did? And even it's edited, you're like, well, it's just weird. As I'm not in high school, it's you get older and you're like, that just feels weird to hear. So, you get some of those, but there's a balance at a wedding between social and dance floor time, and you have to have a little bit of both. You can't just go purely dancing. There's not everybody is coming there to dance. Sorry, I'm never going to tell anybody, hey, you have 175 guests and they're all going to be on the dance floor. Maybe for the first slow song of the night, that can possibly be true. The rest of the night, it's never going to happen again. Unless, especially in this area. It can happen in different areas of the country where weddings are approached differently. They do them differently. I've done weddings in California. You do weddings in the Midwest, East Coast. there's a different approach to these different areas. They also structure weddings differently. So it's nice to have that perspective of you don't have to do a wedding a certain style. You don't have to be cookie cutter. You can say, well, we can do this, and then you can do your grand entrance to go into your first dance. Everyone's standing. It works really great. And then you can switch things up. You can move cake cutting to the very end. Or some weddings you can do, they come in, they do their grand entrance, they cut their cake, and it's before dinner, and then they dance. With everybody on the dance floor. I've done East Coast style weddings where they come in and everybody's on the dance floor as soon as that first dance is done. You go for 10 minutes, you do your salad course, you have 2 toasts, and then you have open dancing slow. And then you do the sorbet course, and then you have open dancing slow, and then the next one's the entree course, and then you have your formal toast, and then that leads into next up was the cake cutting, that particular, and then it was open dancing for 2 hours. And that was a 4-hour reception. That's it. You can still get a lot of dance floor time in a 4-hour reception. It just depends how you structure the night. So how you structure and how you put everything together matters. It just depends on the goal, but they also had time that they could socialize during dinner with their friends, which is important because I went to a wedding one time where the bride was my high school friend, and I'd known the groom since we were like 4 years old. We used to hang out all the time, and I never got to say even hi to him. We went to the church. We sat in the church. It's hot. We listened to their vows and how they were going to give each other Range Rovers and all this other stuff. It was like, okay. And then we went to the reception in their backyard, and we sat down, they entered, they did dinner, and then about 30 minutes later, they did toast, and they opened up the dance floor. We never even got to say hi. We left after 10 minutes. It was like, what's the point? We're not going to get to say hi to them, so we didn't feel attached to it. So I think being able to emotionally attach them, and you don't need to. People want to dance. I got that. Some of my brides are like, we want to dance for 3 hours. Are you still in your club stamina? Do you still have that stamina to do that? Because if you can, we can do that. That's your goal. But we got to make sure you socialize too, because some of your guests didn't come to dance. They just came to say hi. They came to take that selfie with you, put it on their social media, document that day, which they're totally in the right to do. And then they're going to they'll stay as long as they can. That's my goal are they enjoying themselves and they stay as long as they can, not leave because they have to. So you create an atmosphere. Maybe they're just going to drink and they want to play lawn games. Cool, we have that available for you. Stay, enjoy it. If you have to go, you have to go. That's fine.
What are some common things that you help couples things that they misunderstand, or, common mistakes, I guess I couldn't figure out the word I wanted to say, but that you find that like you said, maybe somebody wants to dance for 5 hours or whatever, but what are some common things that that people listening or whatever could learn, real common stuff that people...
My first one isn't for my couples. It's more for guests, anyone that ever attends a wedding. And it's at the end of the night. And this drives me absolutely insane. And it drives my clients insane. I think you know where you're going based off that little...
No, I'm just excited to hear.
Oh, okay.
I'm anxiously awaiting.
Okay, so if you're ever going to be a guest at a wedding, this is super important. If you're leaving early and you're not staying to the end of the night, just go. You don't need to give a hug to my bride or to the groom on the dance floor while they're dancing. Don't interrupt them dancing and having fun, so you can say how much fun you had and that you're taking off. Because if you were having so much fun, you'd stay. If you're going to leave, just leave. If you want to give them a hug at the end of the night, stay to the end of the night. Because what's more than likely going to happen is in 15 minutes, 30 minutes from that moment, we're going to wrap everything up, and you're going to be able to give them a hug and go. And you're going to be able to stay there for the end of the night. But when they come on and my bride's dancing with her girlfriends and they come up to them on the dance floor and they stop them, you're not only just stopping her from dancing, you're kind of stopping the entire dance floor. So if you want to go, just go. And if you want to give them a hug at the end of the night, stay to the end. It's just a simple thing, but because I've seen dance floors where I've had my bride had requested a bunch of she requested a lot of songs that she really wanted to dance to. And I'm to that point in the night where I can play them. So now I'm playing them. But all the guests that are leaving early are coming up, and instead of her getting to dance, and there were punk songs and they wanted to do this mosh pit. Out of all the elder guests that didn't want to listen to it, instead of going to the side or just leaving, literally stopped her mosh pit that she wanted to do, and she literally, her and her husband really were. This was a big thing they wanted to do. We put these songs together for this reason. And I played the entire set of songs, and they never got a mosh to them longer than 30 seconds before they were doing hugs and goodbyes. And it sucked. I felt so bad for them. So as a guest, the biggest mistake is just, if you want to leave, just leave. It's fine. You can, you left them a card. You can say, thank them next day on Facebook or send them a text message and say how much fun you had. It's great. You don't need to say, give them a hug goodbye unless you want to stay till the end of the night when you can, because there's plenty of time to do that. Biggest mistakes that bride and grooms made. You put me on the spot here. I think it just depends on each wedding, and I think the biggest thing is time and how much they think things are going to take. They'll have people that'll put like, oh, we're going to anticipate the cake cutting taking 15 minutes. Nah, it doesn't. If it's like 3 minutes and you're done. Most everyone, at least my couples, I train them well in advance. And what I mean by that is I give them basically a binder that I've designed over this 10 years plus years of doing this. And there's ideas in there, and there's a reception primer, and there's a ceremony music primer. I give them all the tools. I don't want this to sound like a commercial, but I give them all the tools so that they can basically come to our planning meeting, and within 2 hours, we can pretty much put together an awesome script. And then we just have to make sure we communicate with all the other vendors, especially, there's DOC, day of coordinator, or a planner, just to make sure that we're all on the same page. And then just conference call. That's a big thing. So
you've heard it here first, folks. Tony Schwartz gives you all the tools needed to help your day go off successfully.
I'm not trying to make this a commercial or anything, Reed. That's just what I do, and that's what I've designed. And it works for me. For others, they may have something else that works for them. That's just what works for me, and it works for my couples. And when I'm when you sit down with a couple, are you evaluating them just as they're evaluating you for a consultation, or do you even do consultations? Or
yeah, we're pretty good about working with anybody. We're, for the most part.
So if a couple calls and they want to book, do you want to meet with them, or you just book them on the spot?
Having been married, I let everybody plan their wedding differently. Mm-hmm. And I tell people that I have videos on our site that talk about our booking process. When you book with us, I send out, emails and videos and stuff. Like, everybody does it differently. Some people want to, I have people that email every other week. Some people, want to talk every week. Some people we book and then we don't talk until, I have like my stuff that I send out, 6 weeks before and 3 weeks before and a week before. But yeah, I require, I can go anywhere from the bare minimum to all the way up. Do you find those certain people that couples you work best with? I like it. I think our style and our price point attracts couples that are usually pretty fun to work with. I think that we're pretty much all on the same level. Mm-hmm. I remember we do the Get Hitched, Give Hope. It folded now, but we did the charity auction for a couple years. And last year, the couple that bought it was doing a really, really, really high-end wedding at the Four Seasons. Azura was their photographer. Chris Graves was their DJ. Posh Events was their wedding planner. And so, Tanya, the photographer, I looked at Tanya and I said, I feel uncomfortable here. I can do high end, we can do high end weddings, and we did Newport Golf Course, 6 or 7 times last year. Like we can do high end, but like a lot of our couples are just, kind of like me, or our age, just right. Younger, just excited to get married. Usually paying for it themselves, or, parents with, limited resources. And so like, I think and especially the way that like we put the videos together, like we attract, I'm just, I don't know if this is our 5th or 6th season, but like, we attract a kind of a good trajectory now. We've got kind of a good base level of client that we attract. So I can meet with them if they want or not. Well, and you have a tangible product that you can show them, or they can watch on their website, mm-hmm. and they can get it, and they can immediately go, this is our style, or this is our not. It then just comes down to the personalities and the chemistry. With DJing,
it's a little harder. What do you to show?
Yeah, it is.
That I mean, I found doing mixes online, and I've really slacked off, and I'm trying to make a conceited better effort to really work on for a podcast, do a mix podcast to where once a month, if I could even do once a month, that'd be a fantastic goal at this point, with everything that's going on. Because you can, I mean, I have a photo booth company, and I can put photos up, and people can, we can do quick, video content, and people can get an idea. Okay, this is what the booth looks like. This is then product that I get. This is what the the printout, the 2x6 strip, 2x6 strip, or the 4x6 print. Yeah, I can see that. That's an easier sell. AV rentals, you just show, here's the products we have. Does it fit my needs? I need a sound system. They really don't care what it looks like from that point. Is this just going to work for my event? So that's an easy. So when you get to the DJ, you're selling the invisible essentially, because they don't know what they're going to get until it's done. And so for me, and for any DJs that are listening to this, I know there's a lot, because I'm going to promote this for you guys, both in my group. So you'll get a lot of listens, just probably one off, sorry. Maybe you should sell some ad space to a DJ retailer for this one, just because they're going to get a lot of people are going to listen to this, so they're DJs.
Tony said he brings personality and listens.
Yes, tieback's nice. I mean, we have that. I run a group. If you're a DJ listening, there's an Ultimate Mobile DJ group. We have at this moment 6,900 plus DJs in there. And then so here's the thing: is I try to find bride and grooms I want to work with and have a good chemistry with, and that's really when I say, hey, I just want to get a chance to meet you in person or over Zoom video conferencing. I just want to make sure that we have a good personalities that work, because if we don't, I get that awkward feeling that you kind of got when you're at that one wedding, is if I have great personalities, then I can work with couples. And I'm down in Puyallup, so I'm not in the Seattle proper, and I'm not the Seattle kind of mindset. We're doing a little bit different down the dirty South. We don't take our we just have fun. Everything's fun for us. I'm on Facebook. I don't take that social media seriously at all. I mean, I created a hashtag called Puyallup Bachelor. Come on. My mom hates that. I don't care. It's just fun for me. But I want a couple, just want to have fun. And when I find those couples, I find that those weddings are just so much better than the ones where we don't quite meet personality wise. So I think, going back to that question, what's the biggest mistake that brides and grooms could make when they plan a wedding? Not meeting with your DJ and just booking them based off a referral or sight unseen. Because I've had clients that are like my favorite clients in the world. They refer me to their friends, and we just don't have the personalities. And they may book me, but we don't have that connection of that person. I mean, because a lot of my clients are my friends, where I see them all the time. Not just, we communicate on Facebook. I wish them happy birthday on their birthday because Facebook tells me it's their birthday, and I had no idea. But we go get beer and have, and just be able to, shoot the crap, and have a good time. I told you I'd keep this PG for you. I don't want you to put on that explicit tag, even though I think you'd get so many more listens if we had an explicit tag on this. People would be like, what do you say? Where is it? Where is it? We can make it a drinking game. But I think that's the biggest thing, is for personality wise, and that may be the case with videography a little bit, is if you have personalities in it. Would you say?
Yeah. And I mean, and like you said, I mean, where I don't necessarily, we meet, but our communication, and I think the way that, you run and I run, if you're a wedding vendor, my personality is out there, who I am, now with the podcast, but even just with Instagram, with I'm very open about who I am and what I do. And so I think that, we do enough interactions that way. I mean, I have had brides, like my bride for this August, I don't know when we booked, 9 months ago. And she has looked and liked every single thing I've posted ever since, we've booked. And I mean, it's remarkable to think that somebody cares that much about, because I think it was off air. We were talking about, the order in which people book videography, and sometimes it's last, or we have an extra couple $1,000, or
let's look at, can you fit within my budget?
And so to find somebody like that not only has she been great about emailing and stuff, but literally views every single story I post a lot of dumb, we're at a conference today, but she's invested, right? And
right.
That's what I want. I mean, I can work with anything, and I can in when I worked in TV, I mean, my job was basically to go out and interview strangers, right? Like, hey, there's a 25-cent gas hike today. Go talk to 10 people on the street and figure out what they have to say.
Right.
Well, that's not fun, right? But I can do it. So, I mean, I can make any day work. But yeah, I mean, obviously having somebody that's like more invested or excited, with personalities is good.
Right. And I think you get that you get that chemistry, and they also become your biggest fan. And then you can take that biggest fan and they can become your best salesman for you down the line as well, too. So they make referrals. Because that's what, your past clients become your sales force, which is nice. When are you going to cut that pit bull wristband off?
Oh, these are rubber.
Oh, they do I thought you've just been worn that ever, like it's like the one that straps on, you just never cut it off.
No, my story, I have Dorothy and I have gone twice now to the Pitbull to Miami to Bahamas cruise, and I had always said when I ran my own business that I was going to get sleeve tattoos because I have just a couple tattoos, but they're mostly, they're easily hideable if I'm, in clothes. And I always said when I ran my own business, I was going to get sleeves, and then I ended up going into like weddings, and I don't know. I like to. Not that you can't. I mean, I think you
could definitely.
I think you can have tattoos, and I think you can.
There's a DJ in New Jersey that has lots of tattoos.
Oh, and I don't. And there's plenty of vendors. Steven Dangerfield's a photographer here, and he's covered from time to time, and that's awesome. And now I don't have the time or anything.
No, one of my photo booth hosts has a sleeve of tattoos, and I tell her, I go, you can cover it up these just because it's your mostly at weddings and corporate. I'd rather play it safe. But if the bride has a sleeve of tattoos, you're totally cool to do it. So so I'm not a tattoo guy. I'm of the mindset, and I'm totally like, here's my whole approach to everything life. People can do whatever they want to do as long as it doesn't impede on my life. I don't care. So I'm of the mindset of my body is I'm a Ferrari, and I wouldn't put a bumper sticker on a Ferrari. Okay. I'm a out of shape Ferrari at the moment. I'm out of tune. I need some work. I need a paint job Ferrari. That's what I am. So I love to ask people about their tattoos and the significance or the meaning of what they put on their body. And I sometimes I have people go, I don't know, I just like it. And I'm like, you have this tattoo of a skeleton girl holding daisies, and you have no idea why you put it on there except for the fact you like it. So you have flames on your shoulder. And that's all flames. There's nothing else to that tattoo, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the significance of that? Is it Goldberg, just gone wrong, or?
So I also have flames on my.
I haven't got to that. Yeah, we're gonna.
Well, it's connected.
Anything I'm gonna give tattoos on your back or anything? Okay, yeah. We'll get there. Explain your tattoos.
I liked the flames because as somebody, I just like the idea of covered skin. So like in high school, and like I just draw a pen on like my hand and stuff, and so.
Even blood can kill,
Well, okay.
The things we're all young, dumb, and stupid at one point.
And so I would always cover myself, and so when it came to tattoos, like I'm not very mad. I shoot video, I don't paint, right? Mm-hmm. Like I'm not that. My creativity goes the other way,
right?
And so when I found out that they could just kind of freehand sketch flames and then tattoo them, and I was like, oh great, so we can design it in like 30 seconds and be done with it. That was kind of my thing.
So the flames have nothing else, no other meaning to it. That's fine. I'm just curious. I like to find out. I ask everybody has tattoos. I just go, what's the meaning behind it? Because some people tell stories about different parts of their life and something like that. And so I'm interested by stuff like that. Stupid, I know.
And then to finish up, I have happiness written on my back, which I was going to get the Chinese symbol for happiness, and then
hope it says happiness.
And so then I decided just to get happiness in English written. I have a spinal thing that kind of looks like your spine. That was kind of like the Rey Mysterio, kind of like that thing.
God. Let me get you a luchador mask for Christmas.
And then I have the Iron Maiden album cover for Killers, which was at the time that I got that. Well, I mean, it's still an amazing CD, but that was like my favorite CD at that time. And just being a big metal fan with Iron Maiden, Eddie the Zombie is like a really iconic, and that to me is like the most iconic Eddie. So
is metal your music of choice?
Nowadays it kind of depends. I got the Apple Music subscription, and so we kind of it kind of comes in waves. Sabaton was in town a couple months ago. They're a Swedish heavy metal band that sings about like World War II, and
Seems kind of dated.
The Last Crusades and stuff. All their songs are about battles, like historical battles.
They're Swedish, right?
Yeah.
Is it in Swedish language? Well, I don't know what the Swedish language called. I'm stupid.
It's mostly English. They have a couple native tongued songs, and so we saw them down. But like Newfound Glory, I'll always go see.
What's the best concert you ever been to?
The best concert I ever went to was when I was in high school, and it was the Pledge of Allegiance tour, and it had Mudvayne, who was at the height with Dig. That was
okay.
So that they were at their peak. It had Rammstein coming off of Du Hast.
Mm-hmm.
It had Slipknot coming off of the Iowa album, and then it had System of a Down coming off of Toxicity.
Okay.
So it was like
the peak of that period of music.
Yeah, so it was it was pretty good, and it was at the Tacoma Dome, which is a terrible venue.
Yeah, it's terrible for sound, and I went to a Rascal Flatts concert with, I think Darius Rucker was the opener, and the sound engineer, bless that guy's heart, I don't know how he came up with this idea to do this, but he basically, at one point in the song, they were doing, so Darius does a version of Purple Rain, which is the best version of Purple Rain I ever heard, next to Prince. So the Rascal Flatts comes up, and at one point they do a drum hit, and it was the only instrument that was hit at that particular time. And the guy somehow figured out how to bounce it around the entire dome. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen in the Tacoma Dome, or heard in the Tacoma Dome. And that was pretty much my Tacoma Dome story. Other than that, it sucks. We went to Garth Brooks, and it was great when we got moved down to the first row of the second section on the floor. Tacoma Dome is basically, if you're not in front of the sound engineer on the floor, you're not going to have a good time at all.
Well, as I think signified by my wife coming up to check on us, I do think it's time we bid adieu for tonight.
We're gonna make part 2 soon.
We can definitely set up a time for a part 2.
If anyone's still listening at this point, who knows?
Oh, I think it'll be good. I was just telling Tony, I have an elopement tomorrow morning up at Camino Island. We're gonna get ready for. Tony, you have about 10,000 businesses here. If anyone wants to figure out what you're doing when you're not podcasting, going to Red Sox games, listening to Garth Brooks, what would you have them do?
Just go to the first page. Just go to is TonySchwartzProductions.com. There's about 9 different links that'll take you to whatever you're probably looking for. And if you're listening to this podcast, please subscribe, unsubscribe, give them a 5-star rating, and then resubscribe, unsubscribe, then resubscribe again. That should definitely move them up the podcast ranking charts. That's what I've learned from PMT, Pardon My Take, which is one of the best podcasts around. So I'm gonna help get you up there.
Perfect. Well, as always, this has been, I would say, the last 2 episodes of Get to Know Your Wedding Pro. This has been a long one. This has been good. Thank you, Tony. I really appreciate you coming up here and spending some time with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Reed. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been fun. This has been another episode of Get to Know Your Wedding Pro. Check back next week for another wedding vendor interview. Thanks so much.
Bye, guys.